We're doing a podcast with my good friend, Drew Favre. If you guys don't know Drew, he has been a legend in the PTBI community. He joined PTBI in 2021, and since then he's become a really, really great friend because he took the opportunity to move to San Diego. We started training together as training partners. He followed me out here to Vegas after I actively tried to get him not to move out here to Vegas, and he still came out anyway. And now we're just boys. We love talking about business. We love talking about life. Our values are very, very aligned. So what we want to dive into here is getting into more of the background of the way that we operate, our philosophies about life, the trajectory of where we want our life to go. Because me and Drew get into really deep conversations about, our future. We both have visions where we are raising families together in a cul-de-sac and having a family unit, and I think it's very beautiful. So Drew, welcome to the show, and let's go ahead and dive into it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. I think PTBI legend might be a bold claim, but I'm here for it. I'm digging it. And yeah, we took the dive to San Diego, and then you guys left about a year before us, and then I missed the crew. And your environment is super important, and the people you hang out with are super important. The people you spend your most time with are super important. And so we decided to make the move to Vegas as well, and so far it's been great. It's been about 6 months now, and enjoying it.
Let's start there. So you're from Louisiana, and you move out to San Diego because you were moving out to San Diego before joining PTBI. That was just the end goal destination.
Correct.
What had San Diego in your mind all the way up from Louisiana?
Yeah, so it was actually just YouTube fitness content. There was a creator at the time that I really looked up to, and I could say humbly at the time I pretty much idolized the guy.
Was it Artemis?
It was Artemis Dolgan.
Yeah.
And Artemis hosted, I was super into old school bodybuilding at the time. Like, I was obsessed. And he hosted a bodybuilding camp as well in San Diego. And I went there, and it was incredible. And I was like, all right, I have to end up here at some point in time. And then an acquaintance of mine who later became a good friend actually moved out first. And then I went visit him. And then after 2 solid trips there, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, look, we're going to go on this 90-day camping adventure, and then we're ending up in San Diego because that's going to be the best place for us to build our businesses and really just live the life that we want. Like, business aside, like everything financial and success related aside, like it's just an incredible place to be. So that's how it happened.
What did you love about San Diego when you moved out there? Did you have any aspirations to leave Louisiana before going to San Diego?
Oh yeah, for sure. I knew without a doubt I had to leave Louisiana to become the person that I wanted to be. I knew that I had too strong of ties to the culture, the mindset, and everyone around me. And I love those people, and I don't want to put those people down because most of my character comes from those people. It comes from my immediate friends, all my best friends from childhood, comes from my family, it comes from all the people around me. So my character comes from them, but most of them have a very limited mindset when it comes to what is possible in this beautiful fucking world and this beautiful country that we call the United States. So I had to get away from that to truly grow, and I knew it. So I knew I was gonna leave no matter what, and then visiting San Diego twice, like, all right, this is the spot. And, meeting you and being a part of the PTBI community was also a huge part of it.
Were there any other potential spots that you were thinking about?
No, that's part of what our camping adventure was about. So we went on a 90-day camping trip. It actually ended up being a little closer to 100 days where we lived completely off the grid. We boondocked, so we had solar panels and like batteries and everything. I wouldn't do it again. It was a cool experience.
You know what's funny is when I first got you signed up, I was like, oh, he's that guy. And now that I meet you and I know you, I'm like, I don't know how you ever did that because you're not that guy.
Not that guy.
I think that's like me and Megan doing that, and we're the most cush people ever. That's like we're the type that would want to go glamping, not fucking boondocking.
Dude, we fucking roughed it. Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you and Kelsey on the challenges that you guys had on that trip.
Yeah, but it was good, man. It was definitely affirming for both of us that we can handle a lot of shit, because that it's not, if you see people traveling like that in a camper, it looks really cool, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. Some people really love it. It definitely was just going to be a season for us no matter what. It was an adventure. We saw a lot of really cool shit. But yeah, it definitely wasn't the move. Now I had a squat rack with me. We had like 315 pounds worth of weight. I had a bench. I would set it up. We'd stay at a place for like a week, and then I'd break it all down, put it in the back of the camper. Like, I was on my fitness shit.
Yeah.
I was running all the time as well. So it's not like we were letting ourselves go, but that was
that content was cool.
It was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
and I remember you were starting to build your business at that time. Looking at it, I'm like, it's one or the other at that point. It's either you're all in on boondocking and traveling and doing that thing, because it's really hard to lock in and build a business. What was that like during the time?
Yeah, so at the time I had a lot of money saved up from the job before. So mainly we were relying on most of that savings. And then I had like I think between 5 to 10 clients that were paying me like $250 a month or $300 a month or something like that. And that really sustained us. It's not a super expensive way to live. You're only really paying for gas and groceries. Yeah. Everything else is pretty much covered. So it didn't require a lot of money. But in regards to actually building the business, that's more of something you can do once you're in like your position. Like if you had the desire to do that, if you want to like be like that travel person, but you also have the aspirations of building a successful business, I would say you have to give it a few years and really go hard in the business, develop the systems, outsource the parts of the business that can be outsourced, delegate what you can, and get to the point where you really are in more of a like CEO type of role, and then you can go do adventures like that. So there was no way I was going to build it to like a successful like 6-figure business. It wasn't going to happen doing that, but that wasn't the expectation.
Yeah, just because like I feel like when you're on the road like that, there's just so many little fires outside of the business that you have to deal with every way that it just takes away all the attention that you need to put into the business.
Yeah.
I say when you're building a business, give it a year, like locked in your mom's basement for a year. And I find that most people aren't even capable of doing that.
Yeah, and you have to have the patience and the ability to delay gratification for that entire year. And something that me and Francis and Jose talked about recently, two of our good friends here in Vegas, you know, you have to learn to, for everybody who's thinking about starting a business, or if you're watching this and you just joined PTBI, like you have to learn to shift your mindset and what you define as winning. And you have to completely detach it from the outcome. So like, you know, 10K a month or 5K a month or signing like your first 5 clients, whatever it might be, like detach from the outcome completely and get your gratification and get your winning from the work itself and from the process itself, because it is going to take a year of locking in to get to the point where you're like, all right, I really know what I'm doing and I'm doing really well. It's going to take that at the bare minimum. So you have to be able to learn how to shift the dopamine that you get and the wins that you get from the outcome and get into the process.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I remember we were having this conversation last week with Francis, and he was like, you know, my goal is to save 10K a month and invest it, and this month I'm only going to save 7K a month, and he was depressed.
Yeah.
He was sad about it. And it's like, dude, like you have to change your definition of success. And for me, it's like, as long as I have a roof over my head, I'm able to do what I love, and I don't have to go get a job, and I can afford the things that I want to afford, I'm going to be extremely grateful for the life I built, and then everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And I've seen great success as an online fitness coach, and I've also had really hard times. I made a few strategic errors in business, hired other mentors, not that the other mentors didn't teach me some really good stuff, but just strategically, it may not have been the best time to make those types of investments into my business. And one joke we always make, like me and a few other guys who have invested in other mentors, it's like, we strayed too far away from Papa Zakk. We should have just kept following what PTBI teaches. But anyway, you know, I've been through the highs, I've been through the lows, and just having the gratitude of just saying, okay, at the very least, my ends are met. I'm living the life I want to live. I have food on the table, healthy food on the table. I have a roof over my head. It makes it incredibly easy to enjoy the success when it's there. And also when you save 10K a month instead of 10K a month, like it's easy to put it all into perspective. And I think you've done a really good job of that, and you also teach it incredibly well.
Yeah. No, for me, I'm a very simple guy. If you see the Corvette and you see the watches, you see all the flashy stuff I bought, I put that off for so long. I mean, I started my entrepreneur journey when I was 17 years old. I made a little clothing brand, embroidered my own custom hats, and I would sell them to kids at school because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I waited until I hit 7 figures before I bought anything. And to be honest, like some of that stuff even stressed me out. It's supposed to bring you fulfillment and joy. I'm like, you know, seeing the bank account going down to buy these toys didn't bring me more joy than just having a cushion of being able to do what I love and go out to eat and spend time with Megan, spend time with my friends. And so one of the shifts I want to make going into the next year after our wedding and our honeymoon is to actually pull back a little bit and just enjoy the smaller stuff with stress-free. I think for me, happiness in terms of like my definition of success is not going out and buying the Lamborghini. It's not going out and flying private. It's not, going out and buying all these things because, I'm blessed to be able to have that experience. And now I know what it's like on the other side. I'm like, dude, I get more happiness if I can just go out to eat with Megan and we get, nice and dressed up, have a good meal, come home, watch TV. I'm like, that's like peak right there. That brings me so much happiness. You really don't need much to do that.
No. I mean, dude, if somebody goes through PTBI and they get to the point where they're, around that 6-figure mark, like, dude, your life becomes phenomenal at that point because you're living life on your accord. You're doing what you want to do. As long as you're living within your means, like you have more than enough to put some away, to live a great life. And you're just like, dude, like, oh man, I get hit with it sometimes. Like the fact that we live the life that we live every day is incredible. And like, obviously, like from a financial standpoint, you have such a head start on me and such a big jump. Like I remember, dude, when I signed up for PTBI, you put a screenshot of Square. Like I had no idea what entrepreneurship was. I didn't understand that you could make substantial money as an online coach. I didn't understand that. And you put a screenshot of like you made $13K that day that I signed up. And I was like, holy shit. Like that was mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Half of that was from you.
Yeah. I think you ended up bringing on 3 people that day. And I piffed. I had a bunch of money saved.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good times, man.
Yeah. You know what's something interesting too? I always tell people I had a roommate when I started PTBI. And when we both moved into when we both became roommates, we're both around the same income level. And then I locked in, I started PTBI, my income dramatically changed, within 6 months. And about a year into our roommate, we were having a conversation because he kept trying to build his business. This dude had a great life. He was a personal trainer. He was making about 10 to 15 grand a month every single month, had a really great loyal client roster. He was an independent trainer, so he pretty much ran his own business out of self-made. And dude, the dude was like semi-retired. He was making 15 grand a month. He trained clients from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then he'd clock off at 10 a.m. and go play golf all day. And there was a season where he kept trying to lock in, and he's like, dude, I want to be making money like you. And I'm like, if you look at our life side to side, there's literally no difference in our life whatsoever. We both live in the same apartment. We both live in the same city. We both have beautiful girlfriends. We both do the same exact, like our lives are identical, except you have more free time and I choose to spend my free time doing something I love. We live the exact same life.
Yep.
It's just that what I choose to enjoy with my free time happens to pay me more money, whereas what you choose to do with your free time is something that gives you fulfillment. It's the same thing.
Yep.
Right? And so what I was trying to tell him, like, dude, you don't need more money to have the same, we live the exact same life. You only need 10 to 15 grand to pretty much do whatever you want. Now, this is different if you have kids and, we're in our 20s. We don't have that kind of responsibility. But like, if you're making 10 to 15 grand a month, you could pretty much live a pretty dope life.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And like, I think it's also important to, like you said, define success for yourself and realize, like, do you really want to build that big business, or do you want to just get the fulfillment out of, it takes a lot of work to get there, but do you want to have just, 10, 15
a lifestyle business?
Yeah, just the lifestyle and live a great life. And, that I think too many people, and I've been victim of this too. I still want to build a big business, and we're gonna scale the shit out of everything. But I think too many people get caught up in like, oh, this person's making 50K a month, this person's making 100K a month, and everyone thinks that they want that. But it really takes a certain type of personality to actually go through with that and do the work that needs to be done. I do think most people can develop that if you truly desire it, but there's nothing wrong with just having that lifestyle business that supports you and, gives you everything you need to live the life that you want.
Yeah. I used to have aspirations of building a $1 million per month business. And the reason why I had these aspirations was because I saw other people were doing it. And my ego is like, if they can do it, I can do it. And I want that too. I want to be that big dog. And I got to a point where we're making about 100 to 200K a month. And I would join these programs and see the operations of these, you know, 500 to $1 million companies. And I'm like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that's the kind of lifestyle I want. Like, I want enough to be able to put money away every single month and be comfortable and chill, like enjoy. Like, I want to be able to clock off at 5 and like enjoy my time with Megan. The number one thing I want is to have kids and raise a family. And so I'm working hard now so that way when that time comes, I can actually step back from work and not keep going.
Yeah, that's huge, man. And talking about like family and everything, let's touch on that. Like, we've both, and I don't want to sound arrogant here, but like we've both developed ourselves into some pretty solid fucking dudes. Like I can say with my whole heart, I know you're going to be a great fucking dad. I know I'm going to be a great fucking dad. We're going to set our families up for incredible success. But like, that took a very intentional life in our early 20s and up until now. And I started my entrepreneur journey much later than you, but I didn't start my self-development journey any later than you. I think that's why we're able to be, you know, such good friends, even though you started on the money grind way before I did. And so, like, kind of elaborate on, like, you know, was that always a motivating factor for you to like become the guy you are now because you knew you were going to have kids one day?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So I'll start at the beginning. I kid you not, I wanted to be a dad since I was like 12. I remember being in middle school thinking about being a dad. And so like, that's what I've always wanted to do. And then it's always been working backwards from that. It's like, okay, if I want to be a dad, what do I need to do as an adult in order for me to have, you know, stability, security, and do all these things? And so I would start thinking about like career opportunities, and dude, none of the career opportunities spoke to me. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I remember having a conversation with my mom one time. I think she was driving me because I wasn't old enough to drive. And I was thinking about like becoming a park ranger. Like, I just wanted to do something that I liked and enjoyed doing. And I told my mom, like, look, I don't give a shit if I live in a van. As long as I just want to be happy. I want to do something that I love every single day. But it was always hitting the drawing board. I was like, is this a possibility for my future? I'm like, no, that's not a possibility for my future. And I in high school, I'd really be overthinking it because I knew I didn't want to go to college because I had already crossed those opportunities off my list. Like, that's not what I want to do. And then I started learning about investing. And I was like, oh, I could actually build a financial security, a secure future if I learn to invest and start investing. And then I was like, oh, it's actually a possibility for me to get rich. Like, I didn't even know it was possible for me to get rich in my lifetime because I never knew how it was done. When I learned about investing, I was like, this is actually real. Like, I can do this. And then I realized I needed to make money to invest, right? And so I got a job at a yogurt shop. I started selling, you know, hats. And that's what led me into entrepreneurship because I knew that I needed money to invest so I can build a financial future so I can retire early and have kids and be young. And no career opportunity was going to get me there faster than I wanted to. And so entrepreneurship was like, okay, I need to do this on my own. And that's when I started to learn how to build businesses. I failed at many, many businesses until I found coaching. Coaching was the one that finally stuck for me. And then I got into this world of the online space and I was like, oh, this is actually something that I'm good at, I'm passionate about. And now I don't even feel like I need to retire. Like, I feel like I can do this forever.
Yeah, well, dude, it's funny. Most of your work days are very chill now.
Yes.
We talk pretty much every single day. We train together every day. And your days are very chill now. You've built PTBI to a point where you're obviously not removed from it. You're the head of it. But, you know, your days are very optimized for more free time so you can think creatively and move the needle forward with everything. It's super, super inspiring, bro. I can't wait to get there as well with timeless aesthetics. So, yeah, it's cool. And then for me, man, with fatherhood, and I always knew, like one of the main motivators for me is I want to be a great dad. I had a great dad, and he taught me a lot, like literally almost everything I know about like my character. Just being a fucking man comes from my dad. And so for me, like the personal development side of things was more important to me than the finances for a long time, until I started to get older and I realized like, oh, like money is just as important. Mm-hmm. Because for me, like, I grew up, my dad pretty much was the only income in the household, but he worked at a chemical plant down in the South. He was making $80,000 to $110,000 a year. And like in the 2010s and before that, like that's really good money. So we were very secure. So money was never like a big like thought in the forefront of my mind. So for me, it was like, I need to become the man that can have kids and be a role model. And
do you have siblings?
I have one sister. Yeah,
older?
She's older than me. She's we share my dad, and she has a separate mom, but I mean she's my sister.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So she's I think she's 33 now. Yeah, she's a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always thought about like, what do I need to do to be the man who can be a great father? And fitness is obviously a huge part of that. Like you have to be disciplined, you have to be in shape, you have to be healthy. But more than anything, the discipline side of things, right? Being a person who sticks to their word, being a person who doesn't just give in to every single whim. There's so many grown-ass men out there, bro, that I see just give in to every impulse they have. They literally are living in lizard mode. We call it lizard mode.
Yeah, lizard brain.
They live as a mindless reptile, and these people reproduce.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off when I see dads like this who cheat. They have a shit diet. They have 10 different vices that they'll never overcome unless they truly commit to overcoming them. And I never wanted to be that. So like for me, that's what it was, like becoming the man. And obviously along the way I learned like, oh, like money is just as important as becoming that individual. And that's why I joined PTBI.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I was the opposite. For me, it was money first. Cause I think my mom put a lot of, limiting beliefs in me without, thinking about it. It's always been like, oh, we get paid on Friday, or we can't afford this, or, et cetera, et cetera. And like, I just knew it was a responsibility that I had to take on. And I'm an older sibling too. And so, yeah, I remember having memories when I was like maybe 15, 16 years old. And I knew like my parents, I think they played it off as they weren't as well off as they actually were. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, there was no reason for me to be stressed out. But as a 16-year-old, when they'd say these things, I'd be like, I don't know how we're doing financially. And my brother would just milk them. New shoes, I want this, I want that, I want this. And I'm like, I want like, don't give me anything. Like, I'm going to take care of myself. So I think it was like, okay, I need to go step out on my own early and figure it out. But yeah.
Yeah. And so with your kids, how do you plan on managing that? Because you're already a millionaire. So like, how do you intend to speak to your kids about money and teach them certain things?
Dude, I envision this all the time, how I want to teach my kids. I just want to take them along. Like every single month, at the end of the month, I do my budgeting, I pay myself, I pay my taxes, I put money away, and I want to have my kids in my lap and be like, look, this is how much we made this month. I'm going to put this much in savings so that way I can invest. Here's my account. I'm going to put this much away in taxes because you have to pay taxes. If you're smart about taxes, then you don't have to worry. We have these kind of write-offs. And obviously, we're not going to do this when they're 7 or 8, maybe when they're like 10, 12, old enough. So that way they understand it, because I never understood that stuff. And it set me back a long time, because half of learning business was just learning how fucking finances work and how the world works. So I'm going to teach them about investing just by showing them that, like, this is what I do. I would teach them about taxes by showing them this is what I do. When I do tax time, I'm going to explain to them, look, like, this is how write-offs work. This is how income works. Like, this is how much you need to put away. This is what taxes are. And then also when they're old enough, I'm going to teach them how I make money, right? This is what I do. These are the skills that I need to learn. But I'm also not going to force them to do anything that they don't want to do. I'm going to show them, and I'm going to let that information sink in with them. And then I'm going to support them in what they want to do.
Yeah, that's beautiful, bro. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. That's my exact game plan, because my parents never really talked about money. Every time I would try to, like, ask my mom about it. Like, I knew we weren't, like, struggling. Clearly we weren't struggling. I never had to, like, worry about shit. My mom would, like, hit on little, it's kind of similar to your mom, just like little things here and there that made me, like, kind of wonder. And I would ask, and my mom would just be like, oh, like, this is like grown-up stuff. Like, she would almost, like, try to hide me from it. And
I think when you're at the age where you're curious about it is the age that you should start learning. Correct. I don't think if you're younger than 10, you could be kept in the dark about that. But when you're 10 to 20 years old and you are smart enough to realize there might be something going on, that's the age when it's like, you should probably talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. And so I definitely learned that, like, okay, that's something that I can do differently that my parents did for me. My parents did incredible job raising me, so I'm not complaining here, but that's something that I know for sure. I want to be very honest and open and teach my kids as soon as I think they'll be able to receive it, and as soon as they start getting curious and asking.
Yeah. It's something I do plan on doing too. I think one of the best skills that you can teach your kids is how to be social.
Yep.
So I always think about like having some sort of exercise where when you were at the park being like, hey, if my son, if you go talk to that girl, I will get you X, Y, and Z, or the girls, etc. If you go make a friend and go talk to those strange people over there, I'll give you X, Y, and Z, just to get them out of their shell when they're very young so they learn how to talk to people. Because I think in business, in entrepreneurship, you have to be social. You have to know how to talk to people. You have to know how to sell. You have to have self-awareness to, understand other people's motives and emotions and stuff. And so that's something that I want to teach my kids early on by getting them out of their comfort zone and encouraging them to speak to people.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Actually, we were hanging out. We had a little PTBI meetup here, and we were saying like, not every entrepreneur, not every successful individual naturally is extroverted or naturally has social skills or this skills of persuasion, but you do have to develop it.
Yes.
It is an essential part of becoming a successful entrepreneur, especially in the coaching space. Your energy and the way you communicate has to be infectious and attractive. You should be a walking billboard for what you do in coaching. Like, literally, we were out here, we were recording content right here last weekend, and as we were leaving, one of the guys was like, oh, what do y'all do? Got his number, boom, 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 right? A lot of my clientele in the very beginning, and even still now, I still get clients just meeting people in person and not like, oh, I'm a coach, here's my offer, here's what I do. It's just literally having conversation, and they see I'm fit, and it just comes up. And I think, just to give advice to coaches out there, too many coaches aren't a walking billboard for themselves.
They do, and they try to hide behind a screen.
Yeah.
They think just because it's online coaching, it means that you don't have to be social. No, you still have to get in front of a camera and talk. You still have to let your characteristics and personality shine through the medium of online coaching so you can reach many people. And if anything, it's you're putting yourself in front of more people than you would in real life.
Yeah, so doing it in real life makes it easier to do it online because it is a different medium. You can read people's energy in person. You can see how they're reacting to what you're saying. Online, you don't know who's really watching it. So you have to get very comfortable with communicating and very comfortable with criticism and hate. It's just going to be part of the game. I think a lot of coaches, when they first get started, or anybody who's looking to start creating content, I think they're so paralyzed by what people will think that it's normally the people in their hometown or the people closest to them that they're so afraid of what are these people going to think.
Dude, the thing is too is like, sure, people might make some slight comments and stuff, but don't take it so fucking personal, man.
It's not personal.
Like, don't take it so fucking, like, bro, if you're not willing to get teased, like, life's not that serious.
Yeah.
I remember I started my journey in high school. I got into fitness my junior year of high school, and I decided that fitness is what I wanted to do. And this is when Instagram was popping off. I was still in high school. I started posting shirtless pictures and gym training videos at the gym and try to, start building workout plans for people in high school. And I remember I was at a high school party one night, and we were leaving the high school party. It was like maybe 2 a.m. Someone drives by and goes, yeah, it's at Colburn Fitness. I fucking laughed, dude. I thought it was awesome. I was like, people are paying attention. People are seeing what I'm doing. I feel like most people wouldn't be willing to take that sort of, outspoken comment, and they'd be like embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
They'd be embarrassed to show their true colors and what they're actually passionate about. And for me, I was like, that's cool. And it was a kid that was 2 grades younger than me that I was friends with his older brother, and it's a small town, so everybody knows each other. But I was like, people know. And that's cool.
Yeah, even if he is being condescending, it's still cool.
It was condescending for sure, but the way that I took it, I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Somebody from the opposing high school, like we had it's so funny, bro. We had like a river that split our parish. We don't have counties in Louisiana. We have parishes. It's the only state in the whole country. There was a river that split our parish together, and one side of the river went to one high school, and the other side of the river went to the other high school. And I remember we were at a party, and it was like a commingle, and the tensions are always decently high. You got to be ready to fight. I'm gonna be honest, but one of the guys was like, oh my God, is that Drew Favre? Like sarcastically, because I was doing the same shit. Like I didn't understand coaching and stuff, but I was posting workout videos, posting shirtless pics as well. And I was getting some flack from my own close friends. Of course, they just fucking with me, like how friends fuck with friends.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize like, oh, the people who, in my mind, high school lizard brain, these are my ops, right? They're also watching. and they like sarcastically like, "Oh my God, is that Drew Favre?" And I remember just thinking like, "You're trying to play me right now, but you're playing yourself."
Yeah. Did you know this person?
No, not personally. I knew of course.
You know of him. Okay. I was gonna say it would be pretty cool if you didn't know this person and he knew you.
Yeah.
Because that's just a signal and recognize that they know you.
Yeah.
Like
Dude.
they see your stuff.
Funny story, man. When I was first getting started with online coaching and we took our road trip, I think I told you this. We took our road trip. We were on the camping adventure. And we went to this weed shop in the middle of nowhere, Colorado. Like, this is not a popular part of Colorado. Beautiful place. We spent 2 whole weeks there because it's so beautiful. But one of the weed shops was the only weed shop in town. We pulled up, we went in, and the guy asked for our IDs because you have to be 21, of course. And I hand him my ID. He's like, "No fucking way, I knew it." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I thought he was like thinking it was a fake or something. He's like, "Dude, you're Drew Favre. I seen you on Artemis Dolgan's Instagram.
That's crazy.
And I've been following you, and I knew you were here. It's crazy that you're here."
That's crazy.
And this is when I had like 1,800 followers.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have barely any presence, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, this is.
Bro, I bet you're giddy.
I was definitely like low key a little. I was a little hype. I was like,
was Kelsey with you?
"Oh yeah."
That gave you a ton of satisfaction.
I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
I still had 1,800 followers, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that big a deal. But it was cool to know. And the point I'm trying to make with that story is that for every person that is condescending or hating or throwing shade at you, there's 10 more who are supporting you, even if they're supporting you in silence. That dude never liked any of my content.
Yeah.
He never engaged with anything. But as soon as he saw me in person, he's like, "Dude, I love your shit. I saw you on Artemis's page." Like, he was a legit fan, you know,
Yeah.
and we still talk to this day on Instagram. So, like, man, fuck the haters. You know, it sounds so cliche, but like, whether you're small, big.
Dude, I have a story very similar to this. So I started everything, over 10 years ago in high school. Actually, about over 10 years, about 12 years ago. And there is like the popular girls, the popular guys, and there's like opposing schools. We had an all-girls school. We had our public school, and then we had an all-girls school, private school, and we had an all-boys private school, literally around like the same block. And so obviously those were like the rival schools. And those private school girls were like the private school, private boys girls, right? But there is like this group that was they were just so cool. I thought they were the coolest. All the girls are super cute. At the time when I was in high school, I had crushes on them. More nervous to talk to them than, anything. I would never say anything. Didn't think they knew I existed whatsoever. And I started creating the content on social media. I'm like, you know what? Like, I just need to fucking remove myself from everybody so I can, grow past these people, move out of my hometown. Long story short, 10 years goes by. I'm moving from San Diego to Las Vegas, and we throw a house party. You were at that house party.
Well, I remember.
And I'm lit at this house party. And in comes one of the popular girls from that private school. And at the time, I would never had the confidence to talk to her. But now I'm like, "Yo, are you this person?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What are you doing here?" And she got invited by a friend. But what she said to me, she's like, "Hey, I've been following you for all this time. You're absolutely crushing it. Good work. Keep it up." And it gave me all the satisfaction in life that I needed. It was like, I felt like I made it. It was amazing. And that just goes to show, like, when you're just getting started, you're going to have people that are condescending and will throw rocks at you and tease you. But give it 10 years for your vision to become a reality, for you to become, those people are going to look at you and be like, I actually respect that person.
Yeah. They'll pull inspiration from you, and they'll want your help, like, and if you're a big enough person, you give it to them,
I always use this analogy. I always say, when you're in high school and you start telling people that you're going to become like a rapper or a music artist, they're not going to believe you initially because you haven't showed any proof. And it is a risk for them to put belief in you, because if they believe in you and you fail, then they were wrong. And so it takes momentum. You need to throw some shows. You need to release an album. You need to, drop a music video for people to see that you're actually sticking to your commitment and you're actually doing what you say that you're going to do before they start believing in you.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the beginning, your word means nothing. And it's actually a risk on their ego to be invested in you personally. And so instead, they keep an arm's distance, and then when when you show that you're actually making progress, then they're like, okay, it's not as much of a risk for me to outwardly support this person.
Yep. Damn, that's facts. So I'm thinking of so many different scenarios in my personal life where that happens to me over and over again. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, going back to the very, very beginning, it's funny that you knew that you wanted to get out of your hometown, because I actually had no aspirations to leave my hometown at all.
Really?
Yeah, I when I was in high school and in college, I stayed back to go to my community college, and I wanted to build my business in Monterey and in Salinas. I had visions of me, buying houses in Pebble Beach, which is where I grew up, buying houses in Carmel, etc. I had no intention of leaving ever, but it was a girlfriend that got me to leave.
Really?
Yeah, because she was a little younger than me, and so when I graduated high school, I stayed in my hometown and waited for her to graduate high school. And when she graduated high school, she's like, look, I'm moving to San Diego. You can either come with me or, we could do long distance or whatever. And I said, fuck it. I had nothing going on. And I went down. I grew up in California my entire life and never been to San Diego. I didn't even know San Diego was a city. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I moved down there, and dude, back when I moved down there, it was not what it was when you moved there.
Yeah.
It wasn't an influencer town. Online coaching wasn't really a thing. It was just like a normal city. Back then, LA was a spot everyone went to. All the YouTubers went to LA. Now it's like Miami. But it was really different going down there, all by yourself, just one girlfriend, not knowing a single person. The fitness industry wasn't really what it was, but it was a beautiful thing to see it transform over the years.
Yeah, I'm jealous that you got to experience that, because it's a hub now.
I feel like the hub years have passed for San Diego, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of I might be wrong, but I feel like a lot of the big people that I came up with during that era, they're all gone.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's there's still a lot of people down there that are in the influencer scene, but there's not a lot of people that are in the business scene.
Yeah.
And I feel like all those people kind of graduated. And now if I were to go back to San Diego, I'd feel like a fifth-year senior walking in on a freshman class. That's so funny. That's how I would feel.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so what do you think you could have accomplished all you accomplished if you never left Salinas?
No, absolutely not. And dude, I think that's part of the reason why I want to move to Austin too, is because Vegas is cool, but I know for a fact that there's so much opportunity that I'm missing by not being where everyone is. You could absolutely make something happen in whatever town you're in, but you also don't know what opportunities you're missing by not being in the center of where all the action is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegas is cool. I mean, I like it, but I know that I need to be where all the players are. And even though the competition's higher there, there's still fruits that come from being, in the center of it all.
Yeah, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
A rising tide raises all ships. And I think for people who might be afraid to make that leap, or when you're in your hometown and maybe you're comfortable and things are good, it's almost impossible to leave. But you have that voice in the back of your head. For me, that's what it was. I had a 6-figure job, had a house, had a little garage gym, had some really good friends. Everything was good, but I wanted great.
Yeah.
And so I had to almost force myself to be dissatisfied with good. Looking back, I don't know if I could have done it any other way. But I think sometimes if you know in your heart of hearts you want great and you want more, I think you have to almost force yourself to be dissatisfied with what you have now, if that is something that you feel like you're called for. And if you don't feel like you want more than what you already have, there's nothing wrong with, like we were talking about earlier, just being very grateful and being present and being happy with where you are in life. But if you have that calling, I think part of it is okay, this place is holding me back, or these people are holding me back, and really feeling that and letting it drive you. And the same goes with fitness, dude. Too many people are content with just being complacent. Yeah. Too many people look around and they see other dads are 30 or 40 pounds overweight. They see their coworkers are 30, 40 pounds overweight, eating donuts every morning, doing all of this, and they compare themselves to the average around them, not realizing that they're nowhere near their actual potential. And I think you first have to accept the pain that comes with being nowhere near your peak in your fitness and your physique and your health. I think too many people just cloud any of those types of feelings that, you know, people want to know, how can you be so driven? How can you be so motivated? People look at someone like you or someone like me and wonder, like, how is that person so driven? My mom literally says all the time, like, I don't understand how you are who you are. A part of it is that I just allow myself to sit with the dissatisfaction of whatever area of my life I may feel can improve. I allow myself to feel that dissatisfaction rather than masking it with a vice. I think too many people mask their desires and their true emotions and their true motivations with vices. So you're in that small town, things are going good, everything seems all right, you're drinking every weekend, maybe you're having a couple beers with your friends during the week. Cut that shit out and tell me if you're satisfied with where you're at in life. You know what I mean? I think too many people get caught up in that comfort and in that complacency, that's not what their life is meant to be. Some people, that is absolutely their role in who they are and what they're supposed to become. But I think most people leave so much of their personal potential untapped because they're too comfortable and they have too many vices.
Yeah. I also think it's like, when it's the norm, you don't think anything's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. I think when everyone has vices and everyone's, coping to one sense or the other, and all of your friends are overweight and all of your girlfriends are, not, satisfying you or whatever, that's the norm.
Yeah.
Right. But then you get around people where the standard is just raised and you realize how far off you are from that standard.
Yeah.
I think, like you were saying, like, would you ever get to this position now if you didn't move to San Diego? It's like, absolutely not, because I purely dedicate all of my success to the people that I met in San Diego. And I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for those people, because I would have a month like, 10 grand a month. And then I'd go have a conversation with my friend and they're like, yeah, I just hit 100 grand a month. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, now I need to get that because we're no different and I want to be like you. And so I need to do that. Right. Or I go to the gym and there's fucking shredded dudes, girls that are super fit. And I'm like, that's the standard that I need to hold myself to. But when you're going around and you're, making 50, 60 grand a year and all of your friends are doing the same and, you're all overweight, you're all in debt, and that's normal, you're not going to get the contrast to realize that there's more out there in life. And I think you can get that from social media.
I was going to say content.
You can get that from social media, but I do think that there's a level of self-satisfaction that comes purely from social media. It's like, there's a saying that, like, they say, don't tell your friends your goals, because you'll get the same level of dopamine by sharing your goals than you would by achieving your goals, which will compensate for you actually going after and getting it. So I think a lot of people will have a very shit life and then escape to a social media life that they inspire to, but then get the same dopamine that they would get as if they were to just go out and go out and get it. So I think you have to be surrounded by it in real life to be motivated to go out and get it.
100%. I fully agree. I do also, I think that social media can be the spark for it though. Like for me, like, it was literally Artemis Dogan posting videos in Stern's gym. Like, that's what I wanted. Yeah. I wanted to have that. And then I saw other successful fitness influencers. And so I think that consuming that type of content can absolutely be the spark, but you do have to be around it in real life, whether it's masterminds, retreats, business events, anything like that, meetups. If you can't immediately leave your hometown, put some money aside to go to things like that, to meet the people who are crushing it and slaying it, and their standards are way higher than you could ever possibly even fathom. You get around it, and it's exposure therapy. Like, you literally like, oh, this is like normal.
Yeah. Yeah, you have conversation with someone, and you're like, oh, we are very much like very similar, but your results are so much further. So now I can compare myself to that and set that as the goal for me to go after. Because now I can see that you and I are no different. So I know that could be possible for me too.
Facts. Well, bro, I really have to take a leak. So I feel like this is probably a good spot to end this.
Perfect.
We've been ripping for a minute, so it's probably a good spot to end it.
Good stuff. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Peace out, guys.